How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Rory, Faded Ink. We're gonna break down a medium bald fade on my friend Arjun today, and we're gonna use our wall vapor, our wall vanish, and we're also gonna use our wall high vis to detail. So anytime I approach a haircut, I'm always looking at the person in the chair and what exactly they have going on, whether it be the previous haircut, whether it be growth patterns, density, desired style that they want. I want to take a look at what that hair is going to do, because everybody's unique, like a fingerprint. Before I even get started, I want to look at the hair and see where they live and where they're trying to go, and so that I can get them there the right way, I want to use the right tools and techniques for that. I'm really excited about this tool because I'm going to do a bald fade, and if you look, you can see the grown out haircut. I'm going to go no guard on the 0 setting. This fade out blade is super cool because, again, I can go super tight for a ball fade, and I'm gonna put in a baseline. I like to put in the baseline and map it out first before we get into detail work. I want a road map, and then I'll go back in and I'll detail. So here we go. That baseline that I'm gonna put in, we wanna measure middle of the ear, corner of the eye, recession. I'm gonna place it in on a 45 and arc it right over the ear. And then I'm going to drop down into a diagonal back. And that's just going to be our first baseline. That's all I want to focus on right now. And that way I can see exactly where that lives. Dropping down. So I have balance when I'm working with the clippers and trying to place in this baseline. Sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and we work in one area, and then when we get around to the other side of the head, we notice that they're not the same. We notice that they're uneven, or one side is higher than the other. Man, this thing cuts smooth, Arjun. I put it right up against the scalp, and it just blasts through. It's lightweight. It's the lightest clipper that I actually cut with, and it's got the most powerful motor out of all my clippers. I have the other Magic Clip, which is a great tool, very lightweight. Motor that they put in this one is a little stronger, like a senior motor, which is really cool when you're going through coarser hair that's gonna slow down those blades. This actually puts so much power on coarser hair because it has an adaptive sensor in the motor that pushes more torque if it rides up against hair that's thicker, Okay, we got that baseline in, check it out, all the way around. I like the way we're looking. We can clean it up just a touch right here. Now I want to place my number 1 guard on. I want to place another baseline slightly higher, about a finger width above that first baseline, starting out through here. And when we drop down into the low crown, it's going to get a little wider because we're dealing with more space and we're stretching out light to dark contrast. So let's put in that secondary baseline, and you're going to see all 3 levels of hair. Stretching the skin with my thumb, placing that clipper right up against the scalp. I'm able to concentrate and target what hair I actually go through and cut and remove. That way I have tension. Sometimes they have flexible scalps. The clipper may bounce off the scalp, or if it's hot out, it may stick to the scalp. So you want to make sure that you have tension using both hands when you cut. And that way you can target your cutting section and have consistency throughout the haircut as you move through. Once I'm done putting in this baseline, I'll spin them around so you guys can see how high up we're working. This looks really good when you have a good light source and you're able to zoom in and see exactly where you're targeting those blades, the teeth on those blades, cutting the hair, and where you come off the scalp. It's a motion where you're rocking that C shape, right? You're scooping, because you're not trying to keep riding it all the way up the scalp. You're trying to get in and get out. You're trying to get in and hit the area that you want to hit, and then work your way off the scalp so that it's a smoother blend, a smoother transition. The occipital bone right here pokes out a little bit, so that's what I'm using to work right off of. I want to, make this look as ideal as possible. Not everybody has a perfect ideal shaped head. So when you do the fade, you want to make sure that you're creating a more natural rounded look. Sometimes the bone back here is very flat. So if you go too high up with your fade line, it's going to look even worse. It's going to look higher and flatter. If you drop it down lower, you're creating the illusion that the skull is shaped a little bit more rounded and not as flat. Notice finger width above that first line. So you got 0, now you got the 1 and everything above it. And sometimes we're caught up, we're so close. We got to give ourselves a little room to work and see and have that perspective of stepping back and looking from different perspectives, different angles. Some of you might follow your guests into the parking lot and walk all the way to the car seeing things, you know. We can take this tight with the shaver and then blend it a little bit with the high vis trimmer, or we can go straight with the clipper because of this fade blade. This balding blade goes just as close. So we're looking at those things. He has a beard, so we're gonna connect that beard by opening it up to the half setting. Okay, we're gonna use the first few teeth and just stretch out and segue from that light to dark going into the beard. Coming with the grain, you're gonna remove less. Going against the grain, you're gonna remove more. We have 3 levels of hair, so you can see that 0, you have that 1, you have everything above. If you want to take it even tighter, we can go with the shaver, okay? Now you'll have even more contrast between light and dark. Stretch out the skin. This is going to give a little bit more of longevity, a little bit more lifetime to the haircut because you're balding it out as close as a close shave with a razor. That's what makes the fades look even crazier and more blurry. You know, it holds up, it lasts longer, gives a little more lifetime to how long that fade looks good. But not everybody can handle it. Some people have sensitive skin, and it may irritate their scalp when going that close. Especially guys that have curlier hair. They get ingrown hairs because the hair curls under the skin when it's shaven too tight. Some people have sensitive skin. But this foil shaver goes right down as if I was using a straight razor. With the trimmer, if we see any spots from where the shaver left off into that 0, we can just clean up into those areas to guarantee we didn't miss anything, as well as use it to detail the hairline. Key with hairlines is you want to keep it as natural as possible, yet defined. Sometimes you can go too fast and remove too much of the hairline, and then they'll be in the bathroom a couple days later with the Gillette trying to follow that line because it's growing back in so deep. So I always recommend just keeping it as natural as possible, yet defined. To me, that's what's gonna hold up the longest. Now with no guard on the wall vapor, and I open it up to the half setting, or open, I expose more of the teeth versus both blades being so tight. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the corner and I'm gonna blend into that one baseline that we started with. Soften this up just a touch. Now we're gonna use that corner and we're gonna start segueing and marrying those two areas together. One of the new features about this F32 fade out blade is it has 32 round ballpoint tips. So you're not gonna stab or irritate the person's pores or their scalp when going in tight like this, because each tip of the blade is rounded. It's got a round ball point to it, which I thought was genius for a comfort and for somebody that has sensitive skin or larger pores. Sometimes those blades on those balding teeth could catch. So when it comes to like comfort and performance, the new blade definitely helps barbers get into those tighter spaces and work efficiently without irritating the scalp or pulling it, you know, with those sharper pointier tip blades. These round ball points are pretty smooth up against the scalp. Do you feel anything pulling on you, Arjun?
Nothing at all.
You feel good?
Feel great.
Dude, this is looking great. So far, so good, man. I like what we got going on. It's starting to come to life little by little. You put in all these steps, an overwhelming amount of steps if you look at them all at once. But when you break them down one by one and you just check them off your list, it all comes to life in an organized way without you having to get overwhelmed. You have a system that you can put into place. I like to roadmap. It's like doing a tattoo on somebody, right? When you get a tattoo, you go to the tattoo artist, you come up with the design, you figure out what kind of style you're gonna get. Once you have that in mind, then what? Then the artist will put the stencil on your skin and they'll take their machine and they will line the tattoo. So they're putting in those roadmaps, that line work first, right? Then they'll go back in once they have that and they'll start to put in shading and detail. And that's what we're doing now. We're shading that line work that we put in to make it all blend. It's very similar. We both work on human canvases and you're dealing with people's most prized possession, their looks, their aesthetics, right? Their appearance. Tattoos are a little more scary because they're more permanent. A haircut can grow back out, Tattoo is going to take a little more work, whether to cover it up or to have it lasered if it's not done properly. But both definitely take practice, both take technique, and both take a visual eye. And I think when you have both technique and a visual eye, now you're dangerous. Now you're somebody that understands how to get there and has the vision to see it through. Man, this looks good. I'm almost there, baby. I'm getting right around to the last little part. And in this area, you want to take the person and turn their chin to their shoulder. That way you can come in and you don't have to give them a lap dance and straddle them or get too close to them when you're cutting with the right-handed, technique. And you get around to this very left side. It's very awkward to get in there because they have two legs. Tilt their neck back towards their shoulder like this, and then you can get in there and you can work without putting your body in some crazy position. Now we still have one more baseline to eliminate, okay? We did the 0, we did the 1. The 1 baseline, I want to open it up with the 1.5, so I'll put my 1.5 guard on there. He has very dark hair. It's difficult to blend out weight lines on somebody that has super dark hair. So I always say if you suck at fading, start out on somebody that has blonder hair. Learn your techniques and then get more advanced with somebody and step it up to darker hair, because it's very discouraging to cut somebody with super dark hair and see those weight lines from the very beginning. Learn how to get into the rhythm of using your tools and understanding how to map it out, and then step it up to darker hair, because it is light and dark contrast that we're working with. All I'm doing right now is just using that 1.5 guard, and I'm just going in and softening that baseline that we put in with our number 1 guard. I'm going in different directions, diagonal forward, diagonal back, vertical, because the hair grows in different directions. And now I'm looking at the shape, I'm looking at that shade and how it sits on the shape. I'm looking at all these things, and so I'm adjusting. That's why it's difficult to teach a haircut, because everybody that sits in your chair is unique. So the steps are going to change a little bit. The techniques are going to change a little bit. The angles are going to change a little bit depending on who's in the chair. So understanding what type of hair you're working on first, and then going in and using different techniques and tools and combining them for that person's type of hair and desired goal is going to be the best way to approach haircutting. Now I'm getting around to that danger zone again. I'm going to turn his chin to his shoulder, and I'm going to work that corner and just stretch out that fade. And you know what? I'm even going to go back in with my number 1 guard, but now I'm going to open it up, because that lever I can adjust and get into between those areas, because his hair is showing a little darkness there. So I want to go in, and once I hear it, once I see it, I'm gonna move on. Because I'm going in and adjusting that taper lever in order for me to blend in some of those tighter areas. Going back with my high vis, I'm gonna detail the opposite side right here. We are gonna trim the top a little bit. It's not what you cut, it's what you leave on the person's head. And sometimes you might have to grow certain areas out to get them to where they wanna be. It's not cut everything all the time, you know? Taking this T-blade, which has a DLC coating, which is super cool, doesn't get hot. Like some of the machines get very hot when you're using them on a lot of people all day long. But that DLC coating, that diamond-like carbon coating on this 5-star high-vis blade right here is keeping it cool, and apparently it holds the edge up to 4 times longer. You know, so better quality. Everything they're doing with Wall is making it better for us, whether it be technologically with the battery life and the motor, or whether it be with the blade, and all the things that go into the innovation of, you know, updating all our tools are why people are getting better and better, and haircuts are looking better and better throughout everywhere now, because we have access to all this information and we have access to such good tools. All right, thanks for hanging with us. I'm gonna go with a little bit of pomade, just so we get a little shine. He has darker hair. I wanted to give that like Clark Kent, you know, Superman kind of shine to his darker curl. Man, this looks good. In the crown area, you know, you want to style it in the direction that it grows. Let me grab my comb. Okay, style it in the direction that it grows. Don't try to fight the cowlicks. You know, if the cowlick wants to go right with it, see if it lays. You know, we cut the hair in the way they want to style and wear it, but also the way their hair naturally grows. And so for me, it's important to see that shape and see that it's easier for that person to get it to perform every day if it's cut the way it's naturally gonna go,